come across those questions that just make you go,
For instance, why are there locks on stores that stay open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Or what about this? Why do doctors call what they do practice?
See what I mean? Okay, so while we might not ever know the answers to those questions, there are others that our next guest can answer. For instance, why one of the world's biggest hotels has never had a guest? What's the purpose of that tower on top of the Empire State Building? Well, we would like to introduce you to author John Reisinger of Easton. Thank you so much for joining us again. He's been with us before and talking about your book, The Secrets Behind the Structures. And it's now actually available, right?
There it is.
Look at this. There it is. How about that?
Sure.
That is nice. So tell us about the book.
Well, it's the story behind buildings and bridges and things all over the world, really. And buildings are like people. They have backstories. They have where they came from, what happened there, who was involved in them. And some of these stories are kind of weird and interesting.
Yeah.
And you got them.
Just as with people.
And some of these structures or buildings are right here on Delmarva?
Yes, last time I was here I talked about the Bay Bridge, but there are much smaller places around here too that are included in the book. And one of them is the Safeway store in Easton, of all things, right down the street from the courthouse. In 1928, it was the site of a Hollywood wedding.
Really?
Not the store itself, but where the store now stands. Paramount Pictures was filming a silent movie called The First Kiss in St. Michael's, and it starred Gary Cooper as a waterman, and his co-star was Fay Wray, who later, of course, became more famous co-starring with Ape in King Kong.
Right.
And Fay Wray was actually engaged to a screenwriter by the name of John Saunders, and they decided to get married while they were in Maryland. And they went up the road to Easton to the Calvary Methodist Episcopal Church, which stood on where the parking lot is now for the Safeway building, and they got married there.
Is that it right there?
Yes, that is it right there. And they got married there, and Gary Cooper was the best man, and the entire cast showed up as the wedding guests. So
wow.
That's something when you're at your Safeway, you may not think of that, but it's one of those weird things that happened in the past that everyone's forgotten about.
Yeah, okay, you also talk about the Tillman Island Yacht Club and Marina.
Yes, if you've ever been down there, the Tillman Island Yacht Club Marina is a beautiful building, modern yacht club sort of a building, on an island, and it's just so perfect with its siting and everything. And if you didn't know any better, you'd think, boy, they were really lucky to have that island out there to build the yacht club on. Well, the island is actually artificial. It's not only artificial, but it was accidental. What happened was there was a pier there, and there's a picture. There was a pier there for the steamboats, which is how you got around in the early part of the century. And halfway down the pier, they built a couple of shacks out on piles for oyster shucking and canning, and it expanded to become the Tillman Packing Company. Well, while they were expanding, every time they shucked the oysters, you got the shells to get rid of. Well, in those days, you just dropped them through a hole in the floor into the water. I mean, they're natural, why not? Well, over time, they were so successful that the shells started to build up and actually formed an island underneath the buildings. And by the time they went out of business in 1975, there was an island there, about an acre, formed of oyster shells sticking up out of the water, and so they went out of business. The place became derelict. The buildings burned and a whole lot of things like that. And in the 1990s, a developer came along and wanted to build the development that's there now, and one of the conditions was that they would restore the island, clean it up, and put the marina building on, which they have. So if you're out there at the marina today, you are literally standing on history. If you dig down, which I wouldn't recommend because the people at the island may not like it, you would hit oyster shells in about 2 shovelfuls.
How about that?
Really?
All right. So we have been telling our viewers that you were going to give us the scoop on 2 particular questions. First is, why is there a tower on the top of the Empire State Building?
Well, the Empire State Building, of course, was built in 1931, and they wanted it to be high. There was a race between them and the Chrysler Building. But the tower, which everyone should be familiar with, because if for no other reason, in King Kong, that's where King Kong was. He had one hand on the tower, and one he was holding Fay Wray.
Right.
And I'm willing to bet this is the only time anyone's ever used the words Fay Wray twice in one segment on your show.
You're right about that.
Right. Yes.
Anyway, or once for that matter. At any rate, that tower was actually put there as a mooring post for dirigibles. And the idea, this was 1931, remember, the golden age of airship travel. before the Hindenburg happened in 1937. And the idea was that you could get on a dirigible in Europe, 2-day luxury, no seasickness or any of that kind of stuff, hooks up to the tower on the top, take the elevator down, you're right in the middle of New York City.
How about that?
No taxis, no nothing, you're right there. And of course it works the other way too. And there's up in there now, there's still a departure lounge, a little tiny one. It never worked out because what they found was that because they experiment trying to get an airship near there, it doesn't work real well because of all the updrafts from all the surrounding buildings.
Right.
So it really never happened, but that's what it's there for.
It's a mooring
That's
place.
fascinating.
Yes.
Okay. The world's biggest hotel that's never had a guest.
Yes. It was built to be the world's biggest hotel. It isn't anymore. It's been surpassed, but it's the Reisinger Hotel, spelled just the way it sounds. And
Where is it?
Well, there's 2 reasons why it's never had a guest. It was built to be the world's biggest hotel. It has 3,000 rooms and over 100 stories. One reason it's never had a guest was it's never been finished. It was started in 1987. The second reason is it's in North Korea.
Oh.
Pyongyang. It was built to compete with a hotel that had been built by the South Koreans, and the dictator at that time, Kim Il-sung, said, well, we could do that. So he directed it to be done, and they started, but then the Soviet Union collapsed, and their financing went, and it stood empty for years. Birds making nests in the shell and all that. And as you can see from the picture we had a little while ago, it just looms over the city like some movie monster or something. And it never got finished, and so there it is.
So talk to us a little bit about how you do your research for the book. Does it involve traveling to all these places?
I haven't been to all the places, and I have no plans to go to North Korea. However, I've been to a bunch of them, and some of them I found by, the very first one I ever had actually was in the Bahamas. We were on vacation, and we found this burned out shell of a huge building, much bigger than anything else. And it turned out to be the Royal Victoria Hotel, which had been built in 1860 and became a headquarters for American blockade runners during the Civil War, and had this big colorful history that nobody had ever heard of, or I hadn't anyway. So that sort of gave me the idea that, there's a lot of places like that around. Some of them torn down, some are still around, that have crazy histories or things that happened in their past that people either don't know or forgotten. I call it the secrets behind the structures. They're not secrets in the sense that people are trying to keep you from finding out. They're not like the CIA.
Just nobody knows.
But they're things that they've either forgotten or never knew in the first place. So some of those I visited, some I haven't. Some of them I just hear about. One of the reasons it took me long to finish, it took a couple of years, I kept hearing about new things.
Yeah.
What I just talked about in Tillman Island, I just heard about that a few months ago.
Is that right?
So things are, and there's a bunch of them out there I'm sure I don't know about.
This is author John Reisinger from Easton. Thank you so
Thank you
very
very much.
The secrets behind the structures.
Now, say one quick thing. If I'm going to be giving a talk about the book at the St. Michael's Library on June 30th in the afternoon. I think it's 2 o'clock, I'm not sure.
Oh, great.
So if anybody is interested in that sort of thing,
We'll
then
remind everyone
there you go.
when we get into June.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Terrific.
much, John Reisinger of Easton.